Yes, we can call the meeting to order at, is it 5:02?
Oh, well, I've got 50, is it 50? 5:02, yep,
Okay, 5 o'clock, close enough.
yep. And there's
Okay,
Jennifer, okay.
so let's talk about the minutes from the February meeting. Are there any changes, comments, concerns about the minutes?
Oh, were they perfect?
They were perfect.
Of course, because you did them, Janet.
Yeah, thank you. There's always something the matter.
All right, can we have a motion to accept the minutes?
I move.
Okay, Meryl.
I'll second it.
Okay, Peter seconded. All in favor? Oh, I guess Janet, you have to do a roll call.
Oh,
I keep forgetting that.
no, it seems so silly. Meryl,
Yes.
me, yes. Then, Peter,
Yes.
Jean, and Jennifer.
Yes,
Yes,
All in favor. Move to a side. Peter's
okay.
all in favor. Okay.
All right, so our first agenda item again is the railroad tracks and the crossing there. Jess, can I put you on the spot for a minute and ask if the town has done anything, any signage, anything to?
so I'm not sure if the town's done anything because I can tell you that I haven't done anything in terms of following up. We've been in a bit of a blur here lately. We're working through a major health insurance conversion, which has been a massive time suck for me, among other things as well. So I have not followed up. But when I see this beautiful weather out there today, I'm like, if we don't have any outside signage or anything up now, we should probably be looking at doing that because I'm going to be really
Right.
optimistic that we're not going to get any more big snowstorms now that it's March 14th. But I will absolutely do my due diligence and follow up and have a definitive answer before the next meeting.
Okay. Oh, great. Thank you
My
so much. That's okay. So Jess, maybe you can help us with the next item, which really is going to end up having to be tabled because the building inspectors are kind of ghosting me.
Okay.
You know, I
So
asked
have you
them
reached
both
out to
if,
Paul Creedon? Have you reached out to Paul Creedon?
no, I reached out directly to the building inspectors,
Okay.
but I could reach out to Paul if you think that's a better choice.
If you're not getting a response on something that you're looking for or questions you have, then I would probably just go to Paul, or I can put the bug in Paul's ear to say, hey, let the inspectors know that Jean's trying to get a hold of them.
Yeah, we'd like to have them at the next meeting.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy to just do that. I can reach out to Paul unless you want to go that route. but
Okay,
I know Paul pretty
no,
well
that's
with him in another
great.
community. so.
Perfect, thank you.
Jean, I was typing and I missed what the issue was. What did you ask, Jess?
Well, I was hoping to have one of the building inspectors here at our meeting. At the last meeting, we
okay.
talked
Okay.
about
That's all.
inviting them to, just to make that
It's
connection.
nothing I have to
Because
make.
we've got
them
new
do.
building inspectors. No, they don't really know us or know what we do really, so
Yep.
it's really just to
Yep.
offer us as a resource for them.
Yeah.
Jean, this is
Yes,
thank you. So sometimes accessibility in the building inspector's universe
mhm,
is controversial. Even though it's like normal day-to-day stuff, we are so attuned to all of the issues around accessibility, disability accommodations, all that good stuff, because it's either the life we live or the life that someone we know and love lives, and because we're on this commission. And so I'm wondering if a brief agenda could be
proffered along with the invitation, only just to outline the, you know, the nature of our request, that it's not punitive in any way, and that
Right,
it's, you know,
right.
that it's not it's not even we're not asking for anything. We're
Mhm.
really just trying to establish a relationship and understand more about the issues that they see and that they have questions about, or what are their resources currently, and can we fill in any gaps, or even just be a reference before projects get to the building inspection phase, you know,
Mhm,
that
mhm.
he could send applicants our way. So that's my only thought, is that sometimes disability commissions are proactively aggressive, and
Yes.
I don't think that's the stance that we have here.
You're absolutely right, and that's such a good point, Jennifer. Thank you. I mean, really, the whole idea of having them come is it's kind of just almost like a meet and greet sort of thing. Here's who we are. Here's what we can do, how we can help. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. I'll
So-
do that. Thank you.
And so, Jess, you heard that. So if there's any questions or blowback on that you hear when you reach out to Paul, or just touch base with him, that wouldn't be a horrible message to pass on.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
covered.
Okay.
Great.
Who is the building inspector?
Paul
There are-
Creedon is like the head of it. I know
Who
he's
is it?
got, let me just pull up the website, because honestly, I
Isn't
don't-
Yeah.
Ray Maddie?
I think so. There are two inspectors and one assistant inspector.
Good. We used to only have
Gary
one.
Smith is an inspector. Kevin Pickering. I'm just honestly looking at the website.
Mhm.
I'm just curious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where I got their names, was from the website.
yeah, I know Kevin. I don't know Gary. I know Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, then the rest of the inspectors, all the plumbing, gas, electrical folks. And you're correct, Kevin is fairly new, I think. But yeah, so we'll get somebody to meet him.
Okay.
Paul will
Yeah,
make
and
it.
I mean,
If he doesn't come
if they
himself,
wanna-
Paul just might come himself too, so.
sure. If they want to all come together, that's perfectly fine too. If that, maybe that feels a little more comfortable for them.
Yeah, we'll see. I actually just had messaged Paul, Jean, and I copied you on it, so we'll see what he comes
Oh,
back
thank you.
with. It's good we're talking about it now, because we have, roughly a month before our next meeting to
Right.
get people organized and find out when they can come. Hopefully they can come.
Wonderful, great. And just as a point of information for the commission, I reached out to Holly Kratzley about the 250th to try to connect. I found out that she's in New Zealand right now on a trip. So, maybe she'll be able to join us in April, or someone else from
Yeah,
one of their committees.
yeah.
Again, just see how we can be helpful to them.
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of rolls us down to MCI Concord. And the last item is the recreation strategic plan. That's available. There's a link to that from the town's website. If you're interested in what recreation is planning and want to take a look at that, make comment on it and so forth, please do.
I think I might have circulated the link to everybody as well, or the blast. I think I
Yes.
sent them, yeah, so that'd be really
Yeah.
great. Comments are starting to come in. The
Good.
more the merrier, obviously, so please, if you can respond yourself, and then
Mhm.
also if there's anybody in your networks, your friends, neighbors, anybody you're connected to, send it along and encourage them to, take a peek and provide feedback. And then hopefully the rec commission is going to be having a hearing sometime in April that will be dedicated just to receiving feedback through that avenue as well. Because obviously some people would rather come and verbally provide their feedback rather than type on a form, whether it's anonymous or not anonymous. So
Okay, terrific. So MCI Concord, I had put it on last month's agenda, and then we sort of kept it on for this month because we didn't get to it last month. Just for us to be thinking about, are there disability related things that could either happen with that property, or that we want to make sure that again, we can be a resource to the town around use of that property. We're probably talking about what, 2028, 2030, somewhere in there. It takes a long time for the state to figure out what they're going to do with decommissioned properties. And I don't know that they've ever decided what to do with Taunton State Hospital, which has been decommissioned for probably 20 years, or Foxborough Hospital. So it's probably a ways out, but something for people to think about.
Jean,
Yes.
if ever there was a task force, a Concord task force related to MCI, I think it's at that point that we would want someone from our commission to be a representative for the Commission on Disabilities on that task force, or at least engaged on a regular basis. But until it becomes a little more solid, it's probably just spinning wheels.
Yeah, and it's more just to think about, those things you think about in the shower in the morning or whatever.
Right.
There've been
Jennifer,
an
what did
awful
you
lot of.
say? If there is a what? I
A
didn't hear-
task force
Oh,
of some
task force,
kind.
Yeah,
Because it's at the point when there's so many steps that need to have happened in order for us to have a functional discussion about disability and that property. And there's so many amazing opportunities, like you just suggested, Jean, all of which, all development will be subjected to meeting all federal and state ADA codes, right? And rules.
Right.
Now, are there things that are better for accessibility than others? Sure, right? And that is just at the point when development is really being considered. I think that's the point where we want to be able to have a seat at the table and just remind folks that about our population here in Concord, and the kinds of activities and resources that they need, and and to be part of that conversation at that time. So until then, I have to say there's so many ways it could go. Like you said, I think we should take a wager on whether it's 10 years or 20 years or something in between. So
Right.
before something happens there. So,
and
yeah.
I certainly would hope if the town of Concord does take over that property, that it gets treated with more care than the Fernald School in Waltham was treated, where there are, like records of people who live there just, blown around in rooms and graffiti, and it's really been left to really sort of deteriorate.
Yeah.
So are there other things on your mind tonight? We had a short agenda, and then, a couple of things that couldn't happen. So
Jean, I have, can I, sorry to be taking
Yes,
so much
please.
airtime this evening. You know, early on, Peter made had some really good questions when he first joined our commission about whether or not we've ever done a kind of overview or inventory, or, you know, do we have a clear understanding of the state of things, disability and accessibility related, in the town of Concord? And so at that point, we talked about the fact that, you know, ADA is dealt with more or less on a project by project basis in town. We don't really have a kind of assessment that's ever been done. Those kinds of assessments can be paid for and performed by outside consultants. That's probably the best way to do those. But I don't know if that's something that we want to, if we want to pursue that as an agenda item, or something that we think that the town should have as a commission. Is that something that we would like to push for? I personally think it's a good idea to push for some kind of assessment. Our town pays for lots of things, and I know that this is another. This would be another fee, and at the same time, we may have information and data already. The town may have already got a kind of an old plan with data that we could use as a starting point, which might reduce the kinds of expenses required to do an assessment. But I do think it's an important tool for being able to have conversations about how to make life more, you know, more carefree for those of us that deal with disabilities on a regular basis.
Well, and I'm thinking there's probably some really good intersectionality with Mimi's work on the age-friendly Concord.
That's
Certainly,
right.
there's some questions that are really specific to how businesses or buildings or whatever accommodate people, and that certainly could be kind of a first step basis for something like this.
There are towns that are nearby that have done these assessments.
Bedford's done one.
Yeah, right, Jess.
Have some really good documents on their website too. I actually just pulled them up.
Yeah.
What
And
town, Jess?
Bedford. Let me see if I
Ah.
can. I don't know if I can share a link on this like you can on Teams, but
and the kind of depth of investigation, the depth of the analysis can be decided upon before one gets started on this. But things like, you know, signaled intersections and crosswalks and exits and entrances from public buildings, and once you get into the public building, are they accessible once you get there? Accessible parking. It gives you, it's basically all the things that you need to participate in public life would be evaluated, and there's different firms tackle this in different ways, but basically what you would end up with at the end of the day is a kind of ranked inventory of the things that need addressing, or the sort of like the obstacles, and also the things that are working really well. So anyway, I think it's something that is, you know, we've been at this now for how many years on the Disability Commission, and we've been band-aiding to some extent. And I think it might just give us an opportunity, if we had a document like that, to take a holistic approach to how to make Concord a more friendly environment for everyone, a more inclusive approach.
I have a question about the COA. Do they have a new director? And because I think maintaining that connection with them would be really important as we, you know, move along with this age-friendly thing.
Yes,
Um,
so another item that's been keeping me busy is that very recruitment, Meryl. And we're actually hoping to have an offer out to a candidate this week. The panelists, we have a
Great.
2-round process. The second panel had 9 individuals on it with it was a good variety of people that the candidate would be interacting with, and we're really excited. So hopefully we land that plane soon and announcements will be forthcoming. And I guess while we're on the topic of COA and disabilities, I know that the back, well, I don't know if it's the back or the front, but that there's a side stairwell that's been out of commission for a while that basically is an entrance to get you down to the lower level. I know that I guess the RFP that was out was for some, really fancy type staircase. It was a lot of money. So I think in order to get it done a little bit sooner and have it still be safe and effective and in service again sooner, it looks like that's being revisited to get maybe a different design for less money, but to accomplish the same thing, which is to have a working second egress out of that basement. So stay tuned on that as well. But yes, we hopefully will have a new director soon. And
Okay.
Eileen's been wonderful, our interim, and she's gonna hopefully
yes.
stay on for some transition, at least until June 30th. So that's the goal.
Uh,
Very
the
good.
front- I was gonna say the front steps and the ramp to enter the building are in pretty lousy condition as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can do a little bit of refreshing on many pieces of that building because it's a great structure. It just needs a little touch up, and we got some new carpet in one of the rooms, the big main room where everybody eats congregate lunch, just got some nice new carpet, and it's starting to look a little more spiffed up. So definitely want to make that a great, accessible and welcoming place for all. So
Good. So Jennifer, the study that you're describing, I wonder if we might be able to submit a grant to MOD when their information comes out. That would certainly be a good use for some funds from MOD. And I know it's hard to find grant money to do a study.
I think
I
that's,
think- Oh, excuse me.
go ahead, Meryl.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think we should get a little bit more focused before we plunge into it, because statistics and information is only good if you can use it to advance some sort of plan. And right now I'm feeling, yes, I would love to get some information just because out of curiosity, but it would be nice for us to really try to identify some needs, as a parallel to trying to get a study going.
I think Mary Beth has her hand up.
Yes, is my audio on?
Thank you.
Can you
It is,
Yeah.
yes, we can
Okay.
hear you.
Just to jump off your point, Merrill, I think that what an assessment would do would allow us to come up with a plan. It would allow us to look and to create priorities and to say, oh, this is like a really egregious thing. Let's tackle this. Or
Mhm.
these other things are important, but they are less important. And so I think that to have some kind of an assessment done would be very helpful. And instead of us just kind of putting fires out, it would give us an ability to have a strategic plan. So
Yes,
Just the
exactly.
That's
And then
true.
we can, sort of have a pathway forward.
Right. And that's what I would, to just follow up on that. It identifies, it would do exactly as Meryl was asking for. It would identify where the gaps are. It would show you where the need is.
Mhm.
So I think I think the first step, if that's something that we want to just pursue as an idea until we can't pursue it or until we can move it forward, one or the other. I think the thing is just to put it on our agenda. I can come back at our meeting next month and see if I can offer a little bit more information about, you know, who are the players out in the world in Massachusetts
Okay.
here who do this kind of work. Like Jess was saying, there's existing documents out there for nearby towns that have done their own ADA assessment. So we could look at that so that we all understand sort of, and we can agree on some, what the level of assessment might be. And then try to get a better handle on, what kind of dollars would we be talking about the town would need to spend in order to get a useful assessment. I think that just getting more information about what it would take and what it might look like would be a good first step, I think.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just thought of one other place where we might be able to get some funds to pay for this. That's our handicap parking fines.
Oh.
I think with the pandemic, I've like totally lost track of where that's at. We haven't really asked the town since the previous town manager and assistant or deputy town manager were here. But we certainly could find out from the town where that fund stands. There probably weren't a lot of dollars collected during the pandemic because I know Concord kind of just stopped charging for parking. And there, people weren't traveling around as much, but we can figure out where things stand. Do we have some money there? How much do we have? Mary Beth, I see you with your hand up again.
Yes, I was thinking that in the interim period between this meeting and the next, whether or not either Jennifer or Jess could share some links as an example to what other towns have done, so that the next meeting we come into it knowing like, oh, well, this depth of an analysis would be good as opposed to that depth. And what kind of things, what do those reports look like? I think it would give us an appreciation for what they can do for us or what they can't do for us. So is there a way that somebody could share those with everybody on the committee?
I'm happy to do that.
Great.
Mary Beth, I can do that.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, easy.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Yep.
You can
That's
do
a
that.
great
And
idea.
anybody that can access it, I did dump in the chat just the link to Bedford's page if anybody wants to look at that in the interim while Jennifer's gathering the other ones. It might
Jess,
not. I'm sorry.
would you mind that? I'm sorry. Would you mind sending that out to the commission as an email too?
Sure. I can definitely do that.
Thank you. Thank
I was
you.
thinking too, it might not hurt, like it's great to look at what our comparable, towns in Mass are doing, but it might also not be too crazy to even look at maybe what some folks have done in other parts of the country with regard to disability stuff. It's always great to see, other ideas and other things that, people are doing at sometimes even like a county level or a state level. Yeah, the Bedford one was really comprehensive. It looks like it was done about 3 years ago. They've got a couple different things. It's sort of like the rec plan, right? It's a kitchen sink idea of like all the things we could do and look at, but we've got to then kind of prioritize what we think should be done. But I can definitely send that one out on email, and then between Jennifer and I, if we see any good ones, we can send them along.
Wonderful. Thank you. Mary Beth.
I'm going to be visiting Madison, Wisconsin, which is
Right.
they
Good.
do a lot of interesting things, I think, with disability there. So I'm happy to, while I'm there, see what I can come up with in terms of any reports that they have or the work that they've done in their city. So bring that back and share it. So
That would be great, Mary Beth. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, so we have a few to-dos for the next meeting, and hopefully we'll have a little bit meatier meeting. My apologies. I've been falling down on the job a little bit the last couple of months here,
Oh.
with some family health issues going on. So anyway, next meeting is, I don't have my calendar in front of me because it's on my phone, March 12th,
No,
something
April.
like that.
April.
Or April,
April.
sorry,
It
April.
would be April 11th. April
April
11th.
11th, thank you.
The
Okay.
reason I'm aware of it is that we're leaving for a trip for Tucson on the 6th. And so stopping in Chicago, hopefully we'll have a chance to see the eclipse on the 8th.
Oh,
Nice.
If all goes well, we're going to head down to Indianapolis, and then I'll be arriving in Tucson on the 10th. So I won't be able to gather any information before the 11th, but I should be able to come to the meeting if our
Good.
internet's working.
So you're not going to pick up anything from Chicago and Indianapolis and Tucson to send along?
I don't think so. I'll be lucky to even get there. It's difficult to travel. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Sure is.
Well, have a wonderful time seeing the eclipse.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so.
Very cool.
We've been trying to find a place to stay in the right location, but it's really hard to predict where we should go. And there are 4 of us who are sort of staring at maps and looking up motels.
Oh, great.
So it should be an adventure. I'll report.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a total eclipse as a teenager. It was amazing.
Wow.
And I managed not to burn my eyes out.
Oh, good for
Did you do the
you.
little thing with the box?
Oh, yeah, yeah. But, rolls of film, back when cameras had film.
Oh, that's right.
Anyway, all right. We'll see you all on April 11th.
Linda does have her hand up. I don't know if she had any.
Oh, I'm sorry, Linda.
Oh, that's all right. Just a couple things. One is that I hope we can outpace your prediction on the MCI closure, Concord closure process and how that proceeds. The select board, as some of you may already know, have decided that we will have a local strategic MCI closure group, commission committee, and we'll be talking more about that on Monday night. That's going to happen sooner rather than later. And then we did meet with
good.
legislative representatives, as have the town manager and her staff. And an amendment is being filed with the governor that to speed up this process. Some language very specifically has been included in that language, so we'll see what happens. To avoid some of the example, like the example you were citing, Jean, where
Yeah. Oh,
put on forever.
Mm.
So we have put some very specific suggestions in that language, and we'll see what happens with that. But the town manager and her department heads and others that she's been working with have had some really good conversations with a number of people involved in the decommissioning of the prison and other state actors, and are so far getting a very positive response in terms of cooperation and maybe even some indication of the timeline moving along. So that's the good news. The other thing I would
wow, wonderful.
So the other
Great.
thing I would say is that Jennifer's comment about wanting to be at the table when it's time for substantive conversation and opportunity for your input. There are a number of people in town who have already put their volunteer cards in for the local MCI strategic planning group, whatever title that ends up being called. So I just want to mention that since that came up as a topic. But clearly once that local strategic planning group is put together, surely there's going to be plenty of opportunity for community input and, committee and board input and all kinds of input. So, but I just wanted to let you know that people are already putting their names in for it, yet as a unnamed specific committee. And then the third thing I would just mention is that, and I appreciated Jennifer's earlier comment about being sensitive to when ADA and other related issues are brought up to certain entities in town, whether they're town entities or otherwise. But I don't always have to abide by that as a select board member in some of the discussions I'm having with various people. And I'll just give you one example. The Novo project for the 200 plus new rental units, which will include 51 affordable housing and ADA, accessible units. There is the proponents of the project have stated that they will charge for the underground parking for that facility, and that all will be charged the same amount. And I had the opportunity in a couple different forums to say, there's some equity issues here, because if we've got people who are in the affordable housing units, some of which may be also have ADA issues, and they'll be, having underground parking, if everyone's paying the same amount, is out of sight. And that is not equitable. So that's being turned around at the moment. Let me put it that way. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. There are other arenas in which some of your issues are being championed. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
That's great. So I have a question about green cards. Is the town holding to the concept that if someone serves on a committee, they can't serve on a second committee? I mean, given you're looking for kind of a task force across the board.
Yeah, I would say if there's strong interest, put your name in at this point, because I think some of the details of that are yet to be figured out, because in fact, we are going to need the expertise of some people who are already on other committees. I'm going to guess. So.
Yeah, I would think, Jane, that a task force and a committee are different things. The
That's
task force has a
Yeah.
specific goal, or the committee is somewhat longer ranging.
Yeah, well, kind of depends on how the town defines it.
Yep.
So,
True.
okay. Well, so that's the answer. If any of you are interested, fill out your green card.
Do you think, as a commission, we should, ask for, specific, representation on this task force? I mean, more officially, or should we just do it as individuals? Do you have any?
Well, I think we've discussed it. Certainly Linda has heard that discussion. And,
that certainly is,
there's,
excuse me, that certainly is an approach, which in fact we use for many other committees. So there's some merit to that suggestion, I think.
Thank you, Linda. Mary Beth.
I serve also on the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail, and specifically because I bring the disability stuff to it. So there are, and, you know, the town is, there's ways to do that. So I don't see why it couldn't be done for other things too.
Mhm.
If, you know, if they felt like it was important to have the perspective of the Disability Commission on the task force. So anyway, there's ways to do it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Good point. Thank you, Mary Beth. Other comments, concerns, questions? Okay, well, I'll see you all on April 11th. Get outside for a little while this evening. It's pretty nice out there.
Sure is. Sunroof weather.
Sure.
All
Okay,
right.
take
Good night,
care,
everyone.
everyone.